At the end of the historic Poppy Line sits Holt, a popular Norfolk market town. From the Georgian era, there are so many reasons to explore Holt. So follow us on a tour through the town and we'll show you why we love Holt. Now, it's not going to take you long of being here on the high street in Holt to realise and see that Holt is an eclectic and fascinating town. But beyond just the architecture, the history of this town is equally as fascinating. In 1708, a now infamous Great Fire ripped through the high street and destroyed most of Holt as it was known at the time. But what was a tragedy at the time resulted in Holt being rebuilt in fabulous Georgian architecture and has become the vibrant and thriving market town that we know today. Now, those historic buildings in question form, of course, the famous high street today, and nowadays they find themselves packed with all sorts of interesting independent traders or services. In fact, somebody once said that if you could put a roof over Holt, you'd end up in the best shopping centre in the world. And do you know what? I think they might be right. You could quite literally spend all day shopping till you drop here in town, and with a selection of independent traders just as eclectic as the town itself, it's no surprise that its reputation is so highly regarded. There is fashion for all, boutiques, interior shops, artisan products. Whatever happens to be on your shopping list, you are bound to find something that tickles your fancy. And if you're thinking Holt is just a one-trick town with its high street, then think again. There are so many quirky and interesting yards to discover even more. What I love so much about all of Holt's yards is they're all so distinctive. They've all got their own very individual character, almost feel like a little micro community within the town itself. Now, if all that shopping has worked up a bit of an appetite, or if you're anything like me and you don't need an excuse to seek out some food and drink, then you're in luck. One of my favourite things about Holt is the selection of food and drink that's on offer. You are going to be spoilt for choice. There's cafes, there's restaurants, there's bistros, there's good local pubs. There is quite literally something to cater for every taste. But if all of that sounds like a little too much work, then a nice pamper in a salon might be right up your street. And we've got those too. And if one day just isn't enough, then fear not, we're lucky to have some great options for bed and breakfasts or hotels, so you can stay as long as you wish. But of course, Holt isn't just a fabulous place to visit, it's a bona fide thriving community in itself. For example, there's a whole bunch of professional services here, like estate agents, solicitors, accountants, banks. There's even a couple of opticians and all the other healthcare services that a thriving town could want for. We're also lucky to have some fabulous schools here in Holt, such as this one, the prestigious Gresham School behind me, and also the Holt Primary School in town. And you can't have a thriving community without a well-used community centre. Now, it's fair to say that Holt as a town has certainly moved with the times, but by no means does that mean it has lost touch with its heritage and its culture. In fact, if you look around town, you'll see it celebrated wherever you look, be it theatre, art galleries, or antique shops. The history and culture of this town is as loud and proud as ever. Now, if all of this is starting to sound like a bit of a labyrinth to find your way around, then fear not, because the Holt Owl Trail is here to help. The Owl Trail will provide your very own guided tour of the town. It's the perfect way to make sure that you don't miss any of the highlights, and not to mention it's a fun way for the whole family to spend the morning or afternoon. But if you felt like stretching your legs even further, we're so lucky to have some incredible parkland right on the fringes of town. This one, for example, Spout Hills, sits right at the end of the high street. Or if you wanted to stretch your legs even further, then hop in the car for a minute and you'll find yourselves here in the Holt Country Park. There is acres and acres of woodlands to explore here. This place is really special. And if even all of this hasn't quenched your thirst for some outdoor adventure, then fear not, because the coast is only a 5 to 10 minute drive away, and it is a perfect base to explore the famous Norfolk coastline, and it goes for miles. So there you go, a quick look, a whistle-stop tour, if you like, of this fabulous town. We really are so lucky to have a historic town like this, so accessible to so many of us. But don't just take my word for it. Come and find out for yourself all the many reasons that there are to love Holt.